I'm Diego Sanchez, COO of HW Media, and this is 10-Minute Talks, where I have a quick, informative conversation with leaders at companies that are growing during this difficult housing market. My guest today is Chuck Iverson, President at Mason-McDuffie Mortgage. Chuck, welcome to 10-Minute Talks.
Thanks for having me, Diego, and thanks to HousingWire. You guys do a great job, and it's just a pleasure to be here.
It's so great to have you on. Before we dive in, could you give a 60-second intro of yourself and Mason-McDuffie?
Yeah, as was introduced, I'm Chuck Iverson, and it's my distinct pleasure to get to be the president of Mason-McDuffie Mortgage, or as we like to call it, Mason-Mac. And Mason-McDuffie is one of the most tenured brands in the mortgage industry, so I'm privileged to have this opportunity. And we're taking it and evolving it into a modern mortgage brand and franchise and growing it. And it's a lot of fun.
You have a long career in mortgage before Mason-McDuffie. What attracted you to this current role that you're in?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I started in the industry, as a loan originator. I had friends in the industry, and we're all accidentally in the mortgage business, right? And so, but I was, for whatever reason, inclined to try to get into management as soon as I got in the industry, really. And I earned that opportunity very, very shortly after becoming a loan officer. And it was there that I really learned that I had this passion for leadership, and I can still remember my first team and some of the fun things that we did, but we, built community and really had a growth mindset and took an interest in each person and giving them growth opportunities, but also coming together as a team with a lot of kind of sense of community and using that to execute. And so that's really where I just kind of came alive as a person in the industry. And I've always kept that same framework so that I was able to do that. I had a good fortune of a neighbor who was the Dale Carnegie sponsor and had the whole franchise for the Pacific Northwest. So he turned me on to Dale Carnegie training. We did teams. All my teams went through it. And, from there, I was at a firm for 22 years, and we built that into a national organization, and still a very great company today. And I was just given a lot of latitude to take my ideas and my philosophies around how to treat people, on how to communicate, how to build teams. And I really kind of honed my skill set in that time. And I think it was inevitable that I was, going to have an opportunity for the ultimate test, what I call it, where I can take, my philosophies, which are nothing new, but it's a culmination of everything I've read and learned and what I've been inspired to achieve in my career. And it's mainly about how to treat people and how to bring people together and get the, like I said, the ultimate opportunity to lead a firm.
It seems like you're very passionate about team building and mentoring and really the people aspect of your job as an executive at a mortgage company. Why have you gone down that path of being so interested in the people?
I think we're all wired differently, and that's just how I was wired. Like I said, I don't even know why I set goals to go into management, but when I did get there, I just discovered it. I'll share a story. We had this small team, and it was my first management role, and I made a fake newspaper article about how awesome they were as a team. And I made it look like it came from the local newspaper there. And I put it on everyone's desk, and they all, about half of them believed it was true. And so we just kind of, loved seeing people light up. And of course, there's some hardcore realities like, and I love the team metaphor more than a family. I hear a lot of companies say we've got a family culture, and you can be family like, but I like the team metaphor most because you get to pick who's on our team, and you have to perform to stay on a team, right? You got to show up, you got to do your job, and you have to be accountable to your teammates. So that's the metaphor that I've always tried to deploy with our teams, and it's it's fun. And the other piece of this is and this is what attracted me to this particular role, because our owner and I where we really came together as we were talking about whether this was a right fit for me was on this fundamental sense of respect that we want to treat everyone with. And, at the surface level respect, we all get that. I'm going to be respectful in my communications to you and treat you that way. But, respect, if you look at the deeper level, I mean, it means I've got to be accountable. I've got to show up. I can't let you down. And so that's what we're trying to, make sure that every day, all of our interactions, from person to person is around that. So it's just my son is an engineer, and that's kind of the hard sciences. People engineering is a whole nother thing, and it's ever changing. And, sometimes it's challenging having, 300 people working for you, for sure. And, not everyone, drinks my Kool-Aid, for sure. So, and they don't have to, but overall, I find that people want to be treated, they want to know the real deal. They want to feel there's honesty, and that builds trust. And once trust is there and you have some fun, then you've got community. But you can also, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, there's certainly an execution fundamental that always has to be there.
Absolutely. And as a fellow executive that loves the team building and mentoring aspect, I'm right there with you. It's really, for me, the most enjoyable part of the job. I love doing it every day. So tell me a little bit more about Mason-McDuffie. What channels do you operate in, and how do you differentiate yourselves from all the competitors out there doing mortgages?
That's a never ending and maybe never answered question, because we have a tendency to look alike. I was thinking, when I saw these questions, I was thinking about Iron Chef and some of these other cooking ones where, like, you're only given a certain amount of ingredients and they can be wacky ingredients. We have the same ingredients, right? We all do, right? 2 LOS choices and 4 POS, opportunities, and 12 CRM, whatever it might be, but that we have to choose all those. So for me, so Mason-McDuffie, just to start with, we're a 100% distributed retail company, licensed in about 40 states, and not a big firm. So that's fun in that, we pretty much know everybody, and, all our branch managers and top originators know me and can pick up the phone and talk to me. And we really want to evolve a culture where, we've got that kind of flat structure and accessibility, and people trust. And then we can also be nimble enough to evolve. As an example, we've, brought in groups from 4 different companies, and with them, they're happy to be here, but they also brought great ideas from their previous firms or from their experiences. And so we're in this high state of involvement all the time now because of new ideas that are flooding into the organization from our growth. So the differentiator, and I've thought a lot about this, is really people. And so you have to have great people, and we do, but there's a lot of great people at a lot of great companies. And so it's great people, but how we come together as a team, how we work together, and what we're able to achieve, whether it's nimbleness and evolution and a genuine culture that people trust, all those things are really the differentiator. And I think there is an attraction to that. So there's kind of 2 things. There's like this genuine trust that people feel like they're being treated with respect, but also told the truth, and that they can pick up the phone, and there's accessibility. And so I think that's important. There has to be cohesiveness through trust for every level of management and leadership teams. There has to be engagement with people, and all that has to happen. And then the other thing, so if you flip it to the kind of the hard facts of it, all that doesn't mean anything if you don't execute on a day in, day out business. Like if your organization stopped, you could have the greatest thing there, but if you stop to produce relevant content and have it come out consistent, there's no point, right? And so, I never want to get to a place where I lose sight of the fact that, our originators are in price wars. that speed to execute is important. And if you really step back, and this hasn't changed in our industry, maybe someday it will, but the value of an originator in the marketplace is that when he talks to a referral source and when he talks to a consumer or she, that whatever comes out of their mouth happens. And so we have to be engineered to give them the confidence to say, Diego, I know you can get this mortgage, and I know that we can fund it with ease on April 29th, 2023, and it will happen like that, always, right? It can't be 9 times out of 10. You can't launch a rocket 9 times out of 10 and think that you're good. And so, that I think probably my fundamental view that we're a platform as a service, which doesn't sound very sexy, nor does it sound very, community-based, but we have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of other platforms for originators out there and for referral partners to send their business. We have to execute on that platform as a service every single day. But we do that through our amazing people and teamwork and making sure that everybody's working hard and in the right thing, on the right things. So it's, there's a lot to it, I guess, now that I think about it and talk about it. But that's what we're about, and that's how I see us differentiating ourselves in the marketplace.
I love the consistency in your answers. You talked about, as a leader, one of your favorite things to work on is mentoring and team building. And then the differentiator, it's all about the people. So those two things are clearly in synergy with each other. Chuck, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.